to bring succor to workers and pensioners. And it beats hollow the Nigerian citizenry to see that in all of this, we still have agitations of some pensioners, some workers crying out that their salaries are not being paid, and their pension, their retirement benefits not being paid. And this brought a letter, an open letter, taken Edo State as a prototype to discuss today, an open letter by the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, giving the governor 14 days ultimatum to pay pension arrears, retirement benefits, and according to that open letter, which is in public domain, it stated that from November 2016 to July 2017, the state government received tranches which amount to 29 billion naira of the London Paris Club loan refund. And also we have other states that have also received billions of naira in this regard. But the good question is, how effective has this been put? And also reports from the governor, which said that in a summary, that is going to tackle this challenge of paying pension arrears in phases. And there's the crux of today's discussion, and I have distinguished panelists with me, starting from my extreme left. I have a Cosmos Irabo, a legal practitioner. Many thanks for coming.
Good morning. Welcome.
And next, I have Barrister David Maluko. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good morning, viewers.
And of course, I have a politician with me, one-time SSA to the former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshomole, in the area of youth and community development, Collins Osagai Amadin. Do I need to add comrade?
You said it.
All right.
That was my constituency.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good morning, Philip.
All right. Well, to set the ball rolling, definitely I have a player. I have Cosmos Irabo to tackle that ball with me. Looking at what we have here, we just did a summary of what Serap also wrote on an open letter to the governor. But I want you first to look at the aspect of monies being given to state governments, and in spite of that, we still have agitations of salaries being owed. We still have agitations of pensions, retirement benefits not being paid. What's your take on that?
Thank you very much. You see, apart from this money from Paris, Paris Refund money that came, there was a bailout fund from President Buhari, and these monies were given for specific jobs. And what he said was that the president said, if I remember clearly, he said, use this money to pay salaries, emoluments, pensioners, and all that. So that these people that have toiled, worked for the country, if I will, pull it back for the state, should not suffer, while those of them who are there are enjoying. But unfortunately, the reverse turned out to be the case. Money was used, so much money last Christmas. I know how much was used to buy goats, rams, cows, and everything, to give to politicians. Somebody even said about 300 and something million. Meanwhile, those who are working, they are not getting their salaries. Pensioners will work out their lives. How much did you pay this when they were working? They retire, nothing. Now they're in their homes, some of them have no children, some have nothing, some children still young, and then you refuse to pay them. These people come out, cry, block roads. So at the other time, one of them died in Ring Road, and the government then came out to say, nothing happened, I am not owing anybody. And that dot will come out and say, you are owing me. And that dot does not know that you are owing him. What we see today is government that will quickly, with due respect, lie, deceive the people that they are being sponsored by this party, they are being sponsored by the other party. An adult that is old enough to come out, 70-something, 60-something years, will not know what he's saying, that will not be playing the strips of another party. See, what we are saying here is the president has given out money. If I may go by this setup, the way it's called, they said 29 billion naira. It's enough to pay these salaries and all. Pay them. It is, you see, what people don't know is, you see, what makes me laugh is, they say, this government has done this, he has done that. What do you mean by this government has done this? You see, democracy is government of popular representation. The key word there is representation.
Okay.
You are just there to represent the people. And whatever you are doing, you are supposed to do what the people ask you to do, not what you want to do.
Okay, let me cut in here what you just said. 29 billion is enough. Well, as reports we have it, there's this lagging of 42 months pensions being owed, which the governor refuted. That it's not up to 42 months. But don't forget that we have pension funds there. We have emoluments there. We also have salaries for workers. So putting it together, don't you see the need for the governor in his words when he said that he's going to be paid in phases? In phases.
That's the question is, how many has he paid? Has he paid anybody? These are the issues you look at. If he has, no, if a man says, you are owing me 10 months, you give him 3 months, he'll relax, he'll suspend that. But when he's still shouting, it means probably nothing has been paid him. These people are saying you are owing us 14 months. The 14 months is a year and 2 months. That means, and a year and 2 months, when did this money come? You understand what I'm saying?
No, but
if you calculate when the money,
I don't get it mixed up. 14 months not for pensions, not for pensions, like what reports have it, is even more than that. But let me take you up from there, Barrister David Maluko.
Well, I think there has been a serious failure in leadership.
Yes.
The whole thing borders on what is the quality of leadership, what quality of leadership do we get? For me, it's not enough for the federal government to say, we are releasing this money to you and we are tying it down for this purpose, and you go to sleep. I think a lesson ought to have been learned from the misuse of the first tranche, so that in releasing the second tranche, there should be more fiscal responsibility in its application. But that was not there. So you have failings both ways, both from the federal government that is releasing it and to the state governments. Now, do not forget that we are talking about, this is the Paris and London Club loan, refund, and other multilateral debts. Now, there should be some form of tidiness as to how these funds are used. He's mentioned salaries, he mentioned pensions. Even the Holy Book says that a worker is entitled to his wages. These are senior citizens, when you talk of the pensions, they have served this country meritoriously, and they are being denied. Again, I see something that ought to be looked at critically here. We talk about the letter from Serap to the Edo State governor, but I think we should also closely scrutinize it. Though we know government is a continuum, but we should closely scrutinize it. What particular time are we talking about now? Who was in charge at that time? What action did the person take at that time? This whole thing takes us back to taking a second look at our laws. We look at the issue of the immunity clause. Leaders should be held responsible for their actions.
Okay.
Whether when in office or out of office, we should look at that again, because that will go a long way in helping us to maintain fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, you seem to suggest that this accumulation was not in the time of the present governor.
That is what I'm saying, exactly.
And it was perhaps in the previous government.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Previous administration.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
That's what I'm saying clearly. I'm not mentioning what about it.
Okay.
That people should learn to be held responsible for their actions. Sometimes the way our laws are couched seems to cover, seems to like guide people in doing, vile and probably kind of illegal things that you cannot ask for accountability for. People are entitled to what they work for. And if, for God's sake, the federal government has said, use this thing for salaries, use it for pensions, it ought to be used stricto sensu.
Okay, but is it not in the discretion of the state government? Because I think we're on a federal system of government. Is it not in the discretion of the state government to utilize the money?
Discretion, with all due respect, as regards what we are saying, cannot come in. Why? You go to a bank to take a loan, an agricultural loan, and you are using it for purpose of agricultural purposes, and you go and use that loan to buy a car, and you talk of discretion. The government, the federal government has given you, have said, use it specifically for this.
But the refund belongs to the state, not for the federal government.
Yes, but you see, this has an overall effect, a backlash on the economy. When you do that, you also stimulate the economy in a way. And they have looked at it and said, use it for this. And for God's sake, at least if I recall what they said about, is it 50 or 75% to be expended on that. So they are not even telling you use all. You still have something to fall back on other projects you want to embark on.
Okay.
So at least the least you could do is to use at least 50% and let the people feel a little of the impact. Okay, but this was not fair.
Okay, thank you, David. Collins Osagai, we are having this because if we look at the aspect where we run a federal system of government, and the federal government seem to be dictating for the state. How do you see this? Is it really not in the discretion of the state government to utilize the money the way he wants to utilize it?
Thank you very much. There's an adage that says, beggar do not have a choice. To a very large extent, when you see the funds are state funds, I don't want to see it that way, because issue has evolved to the level that the Paris refund issue had to come in. Otherwise, the federal government would have still kept that money somewhere. Either he allows it to grow or choose to do another project with it. But just to say that it's
choose to do another project, state money. Don't forget, these are over deductions made from the loans that states took. And so these over deductions were being paid back. So the money belongs to the state and not the federal government. Because you seem to look at it from this way that the federal government is doing a favor to the state government. Is it that way?
It seems so, because one, from the bailouts, that was when the issue of how can we rescue these people came in. It started with federal government helping to give out bailout. Subsequently, they tried looking at other angles where they can source of funds. That brought about the issue of the Paris reform issue. But just to say that it is quite unfortunate that people are being forced to do what statutorily they ought to do. Now, just to elaborate a little on what Barrister had said, now if the issue of paying pension had become an utmost issue in the Nigerian face, that had made both governors, the presidency sits together and say, what do we do? And they come up with the resolution. If you come up with this Paris reform stuff, it will help us. And say, okay, let's do this. And yet you have governors who are taking from that same fund to go and be building lodges in other states for their states, even when it's not a capital. Just to say that it's just a normal common sense thing, where you tell workers or you tell pensioners that there is no money, you are scattering and rebuilding government houses, you are renovating. You tell politicians, assuming no money, please, we have to pay pensioners, we have to do this, but yet you are doing things that are not relevant. Now, just to say that it is not binding that it is that refund you must use in paying these people. There are budgets ordinarily for this package. Every year, government, whether presidency of the local government, they do have their budgeting. They have budgets for salaries. They have budget
for that year.
Yes.
Not for backlogs.
For backlog, they were budget for them. Sadly, either based on mismanagement,
yes,
it were in paid.
Yes.
Government is a continuous thing, as we say. When it is good, you inherit the good things. When it's bad, you also inherit the bad issues that had been left for you. It's just as good as that. So for us to say because it's a backlog, the people who have worked or who had that entitlement are not seeing it as backlog, are seeing it that you have misused their funds. You have misused what was meant for them. That's the simple logic. And we need not to run from that. But just to say that oil went down, issues became overwhelming. Even the workers was agreeing with that, oh, this issue had gone beyond the governor or the government as at that time, you know, to meet all the demands or meet their statutory responsibility. Let's bear a little. But in attempt to bear with you, there is now an open or an obvious issue that a certain fund has been released for you to relieve us of our burden, and you are holding it back, assuming. Are you keeping it in one bank to have more gains? Did you make these people know that we have a certain amount, we want to keep it for a particular period in order to have double, and when we have double, it will help us to pay you a larger percentage of what we are owing you, or is at your own discretion in doing that? Now, if you have been given, just to go with what Sarah had said that you read to the Nigerian persons, that 29 billion, assuming, has been given to Edo State government. From what period to what period? And it would have been good enough for Edo State government to also come before the pensioners or those that are being owed to say, good, it's not up to 29 billion. We only have 20 billion. Within this 20 billion we have paid some number of persons with 15 billion, left with 5 billion, or we have paid all, or we are doing verification exercise in making sure we do not pay those we ought not to pay. Something needs to be said. And for how long will you also do the verification?
But the governor reacted to that.
That what?
Over what you just said now. The governor made it clear that he refuted the claim that 42 months of pension arrears being owed. He refuted that claim. But you served as a senior special assistant to the former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshomole. And do you agree that in your time, when you served for about a period of 2 or 3, 4 years, do you agree that that accumulation of months were in the administration of the former governor?
The truth,
that where you served?
Sure. When Adams came in, he inherited a lot of debt, including pensions and salary. That was known by the entire people. He inherited, knowing that government is a continuous thing. He started paying in batches.
Why owing?
While in office.
Okay.
While in office, he was paying the backlog and trying so hard, because it was year counting. Because you can't come and pay me for January 2007 when someone was owing me for 2001. Assuming you, even if I say you want to pay me,
but is that not what is happening now?
No.
Because at present the governor of Edo State is paying pensions.
Good. That is why we are also
why still leaving the backlog?
You don't need to pay upfront and leave the backlog. That is why. What I'm saying. If Adams' government came in and started with the backlog, maybe he meant from 2000, assuming from 2000 or 2002, pension weren't paid. He paid from 2002 to 2017, or 2007, or 2007, or 2011, assuming. That means he had paid some parts. From 2011, depending on what has always been allocated for that very section.
Okay.
It continues, another person is expected to also continue from there. So I will not tell you if 42 months are being owned, as said by Sarah. Now you calculate 42 months. You have 12 months in a year. You have another 12 months in another year.
Okay, but the 42 months has been refuted by the governor.
Has been refuted.
Yeah, that information is false.
Good. Meaning what is being owned, if it is, I'm sure you said the governor said 22 months was being owned. I think 24 months.
No. According to according to the letter written to the governor by Sarah,
That
42 months
and the governor said
of
no,
pension arrears.
that they are
But the
going-
governor refuted that claim. But you served in that
And that's what I'm saying.
government
The
of
governor
administration,
refuted the claim.
and you seem to say that, you seem to suggest here that you seem to excuse the former governor Adams Oshomole of this blame.
no, he doesn't have a blame here.
All right.
What I'm trying
All
to
right.
tell you, what he meant, he has helped to also, reduce from that body.
Okay.
If
Because it was carried
if
over.
left, yeah,
He-
it was
he-
carried
he
over.
inherited.
And that is why government is a
You've made a point there.
Good. So
You've made a
if
point there.
Obasanjo
Yeah.
government or administration wants to pay, he will have to start paying from where Adams government stops.
Since some money has been made for that purpose.
Good, for
All right.
that purpose.
I get you. I want you to take it from there, Cosmos Irabo.
You see,
Looking at the aspect where government administrations, we say government is a continuum, and we're looking at this, but how readily can we say these amounts will be paid?
You see, in the first instance, Adams Oshomole came out openly and announced that he has paid every entitlement, he has paid every salary, that he was not owing anybody.
For pensions?
Everything, because he said when pensioners came, when one of the pensioners died.
Okay.
Well, listen, he said he was not owing anybody, that these people were being state managed by other political parties. So it makes my majority even hear that he paid and stopped, and the other man, even when the other man came, this present governor came and said, yes, he was to pay in batches. And begin to wonder, who are those whose pension are you not paying?
Okay, but are you by this suggesting that the former governor Adams Oshomole never inherited such areas?
I don't know if he inherited or not, because what we see is government being run in secrecy. You say, if you inherited, tell us exactly how much you inherited. If you have paid, tell us exactly
Yeah, you
how
react
much.
to that, let him
Tell us exactly how much you have paid. But for you to come out and say you are not owing anybody, I stand to be quoted here. They showed it on telly when those somebody collapsed and died. He said he's not owing anybody. That is a big state managed. So it makes a fun, the whole thing a laughable situation. He said he wasn't owing. So what we are saying here is different. This is the simple thing we are saying. What does the Nigerian government see as their core value? If you go to some other countries, the human being is the core value. The person, the citizen, is the core value. But when we come to Edo State, for instance, let me use Edo State as a case study. What we see as core value is maybe just paint some roads, resurface some roads, which is supposed to be a basic that the government is supposed to do. That now becomes the core value. Why? Because the people, the government has deliberately made the people perpetually become ignorant, illiterate. I always say it, and I'll keep on saying it here. For me and my government, we gather money to do our roads, build our roads, we provide our water, borehole, we use generator for electricity. So security, we pay people for it. So
are you still blaming the state government for that?
For everything I blame the state government and federal government. Because when this government came in, they said they were going to handle all that. That's people say, okay, now nothing is happening. So there's no core value. That's the issue. That's why a governor can sit down and will not pay the man that has worked. You are using the money to do some other very flimsy and irrelevant things. What is your core value? That's why a governor can come and say everybody must not go to university. Some can go and become mechanics when your children are schooling abroad. What is your core value? In Nigeria, we don't have a core value. The core value is deceit. The core value is criminality. And the core value is to carry our money elsewhere. That's why somebody can say, yes, we are fighting corruption. We will spend our money judicially. Where? The next thing you take Nigerians' money, you go abroad and spend 104 days for treatment. What prevents you from buying those things, equipment here, when we have better Nigerian doctors working abroad? The core value is the issue. The core value is the issue.
All right, thank you. David Maluko,
Yes.
before I come to Collins Osaga, who
Yes.
definitely will be having reactions on what Irabo said, we have this challenge where we cannot tell, or I cannot tell because I'm not a learned person as you are. I'm not a custodian of the law. An aspect in where we have the federal government fighting and fighting corruption, the anti-graft war ongoing Can't there be an act? I believe there's an ICPC act where the federal government can investigate any governor that diverted the state funds, that diverted this London Paris Club loan refund for personal use or gains. Can't the federal government institute that? Is it possible?
Yes, definitely. And I think things in that regard are being done even as we speak.
Okay.
You understand? It's just for the right allegations to be made through the proper channels, and the investigation will take place. You know, I think now the culture of impunity is coming to an end in this country. I think people are trying to understand that it's not business as usual, and even the governors are being very careful about it. But just to quickly, because we are in on it, and I don't want you to put me out of it, let us not digress on this issue. You see, I see that we are sliding into Obaseki, Oshomole, Igbinedion, Oyegun. Well, it's not about the names. I keep saying it. Let me say it loud and clear. It is about the fiscal responsibility of leadership, whoever is in leadership. Now we talk of backlogs, that this one inherited this backlog and is trying to do that. The backlog was caused by somebody. Somebody initiated that backlog in the first place. And by the time you come, we now have His Excellency Obaseki, Governor Obaseki in power today. By the time you come, you trace it back. It's traceable back to Oshomole. By the time you get to Oshomole, you trace it back. It's traceable back to Professor Sumbo. By the time so what we need to do, sir, with all due respect, we need to hold our leaders responsible for their actions, whether they are in office or out of office. And you see, in doing that, many of these our civil organizations should be more proactive. That's why I'm happy about the statement that Serap has made. Serap has asked a positive question and has asked the governor, sitting governor, that look, we are going to hold you responsible for this thing. We should have more proactive groups like that come up to hold the leaders responsible. And as a responsible governor, the governor has answered, and we are waiting for him. Like we have made our own permutations here. We said probably they are trying to evaluate whether they are ghost workers in the system or that. But you see, these things keeps the leaders on their toes. And what is governance all about in the first place? It's for the peace, security, and well-being of the people.
Yes.
Well-being. So well-being is all-encompassing. That's why you talk about the roads, the hospitals, and education, and all that. The well-being of the people is fundamental. It's very, very fundamental. When you go to the Constitution, you check fundamental objective and directive principle of state policy as encapsulated in the Constitution. There are responsibilities of government to the people. It's a social contract, and the government must fulfill their end of it. And when the government does not fulfill their end of it, there is absolutely no reason for them to be there. Today we hear of recall of Dino Melaye from the Senate. We hear of recall, Saraki. These things did not happen in the past. Why? The people are waking up. That look, we put you there, you owe us a duty to be positively responsible to us. And when the reverse is the case, there must be a process. There must be a process either for recall or for removal. That is my take. We should stop looking at the names, and we should look at the fiscal responsibility of the person in power and whether the person has lived up to expectation. In a case where a governor has not lived up to expectation, I expect that we should be able to tinker with our laws to set a process in motion where that governor, if possible, can be recalled from office.
Okay, I want you to also talk about the aspect where the federal government can investigate this properly, because the first tranche was released.
Yes.
The investigation, I don't know if it's really took anybody to really scrutinize anybody, if any governor, because they enjoy some immunity. So you are a custodian of the law. How practicable is it that any governor that could be seen as diverting this fund would be held responsible, investigated, prosecuted, in spite of the immunity? How practicable is it?
For this thing to be practicable, you need, first and foremost, to a very large extent, to make the anti-graft agencies and the anti-graft bodies to have a sense of independence. And for God's sake, government should stop interfering in the affairs of anti-graft agencies. The anti-graft agencies, well, that may be difficult. That may be difficult because you see, it's like it's your employer. And of course, that is the first person you owe allegiance to. But we have to find a way to develop a system where our anti-graft agencies can be truly, in the sense of the word, independent. And you see, that's why I keep putting emphasis on the fact that whether serving in or out of office, we need to try and develop that culture. Because you see, there's this kind of psyche that once you're in office, you are although our constitution restricts it to the presidency and all that, but once you're in office, there's this immune thing
The presidency,
about you.
the governor.
Yes, and governor.
Because that immunity clause makes it almost impracticable.
That is why I say we need to tinker with the laws again.
Tinker with the
We need to
laws.
tinker with the laws to bring it in line with the reality of present day situation. We have to, you see, our law reform review commission, I sometimes wonder what they do. We have so many laws that are, I should say, obsolete, and they should leave the law books because there are realities on ground. What we inherited from England those days, even the English have changed their laws over time to meet the realities. We have to change some of our laws to meet with what we find on ground, the challenges we meet in this 21st century. So our law reform people should sit up. The government itself should try and remove their hands from the dealings and operations of the anti-graft agencies, make them a bit independent, so that it could go either way. If an APC governor is corrupt, for God's sake, arrest him and prosecute him. If he's a PDP governor, arrest him. If he's an ABGA governor, you don't look at party affiliations. They should have that sense of independence to go after whoever enough allegations have been made against and to investigate the person and bring the person to book.
Yes, thank you very much for shedding light into that. While Cosmo Silabo was speaking, you seem to have reactions about what he was saying.
Yes, my leader, Barrister Cosmos, you know, I hope he's not trying to misquote the former governor, just to say things that were being emphasized on more like a year before we left office. The governor was concerned about the issue of local government workers, that he was not owing anybody. He was not owing
State government workers. Okay.
So, though local government were owing local government staffs, they shouldn't trace it to the state being the one owing.
Okay, but how?
I'm coming, sir, that he was not owing. On the issue of the pensioners, as concerns state pensioners, that was why you saw within that period, as it were, the pension board was dissolved by the government because of the kind of records and absolute kind of arrangements that they were doing there. And that was when he said he was going to transfer their activities to the ICT in order for them to create a standard database as it concerns the pensioners. Because even at the time, he was doing his best to make sure he clear of the complete pension being owned by the state. Because there is no way Mr. Adams would have told Edo people or told the world that Edo pensioners were not owing either 1 month or 2 months or thereabouts.
For as in the state pensioners.
Yes, the state pensioners.
Okay.
There was no way.
Because we have much accumulation
Yes,
at the local level.
He never said that.
Okay.
All he did was to do his best to always pay pensioners. Not saying I was going to start paying from the very day I took over.
To always pay state government pensioners. Get it right. No, get it right, Collins.
Yeah.
To always pay pensioners. Do you mean state government pensioners or local government pensioners?
State government pensioners. What business do state government have to do with local government pensioners?
All right.
Local government responsibility
source.
go straight to local government as it were. But just to say that.
No. How does the fund come? When you say local government responsibilities go straight to local government as it were, I don't understand that. How does the fund come? Does it come directly to the local government?
it's a problem that has engulfed the Nigerian state as it were. That local government funds are
tied,
mismanagement or tied by state government, but not merely mismanaged by state government. Why? It comes through state accounts, and through many a time through local government and chieftaincy, the local government gets what are theirs. And that is why we have always asked for local government autonomy, so they can, through autonomy, so they can get even the allocation from source, from where it's being shared. But a situation where local governments get their funds from state, certainly they may be input either by advice, you understand, from state, not by action. Because during the period under review, there were no local government bosses that came out to say state government were the one managing our local government for us or managing our funds for us. You only hear them talk when they leave office. But when they are in office, they tell you the state government do not have anything to do with their funds. Till today, I have not seen any local government who served under Adams' administration that has said during his time the governor was the one managing their funds. But we have always asked for or pray for that even local government boards, as it were, should be able to manage their funds when given to them. In a situation where state governors are intruding or wanting to manage your funds, they should speak out. And when you speak out, not just speaking out through third party, and at the end of the day, the government spokesperson will tell you the local government chairman complain, or the day tell you the state government is holding their funds, and nobody at the local level to speak for the local government as an official to openly say the local government funds are being managed by state government. No, till tomorrow I am yet to find any. Even in few cases where you see state government coming out to say, oh, like Kaduna for example, I think that was what Refund started with when it just came aboard, saying complete and true autonomy for local government. But I'm sure
as the way forward.
Who still in the state, local government are still owing, they are still owing staffs. In recent time, we have also heard something similar in some part of the south that some state government have also said complete autonomy for local government. But in all this, are we saying autonomy that you do not interfere? Are you saying autonomy that the joint arrangement of tax management, for example, is being disconnected? Now, when we say the governor said this, or the government of a particular governor said this, that we were not owing, but we must make it also very clear. We were not owing salaries, because what I am very much aware of, because I was part of that administration, was the governor was very concerned about paying pensioners, though he may not have the capacity to have done it all at that time. He did the very best he can, even though the one he inherited, though the one who came that he also inherited, that one also inherited. If you go back to records, I am sure from even the military era, there have been this pension wahala. It has started since. It didn't just start yesterday. Okay. There have always been this inheriting. We certainly will continue until we will have a time where government will make up their mind and say anything capital project for a certain period, we will not, or the citizen will come out and say, don't do any capital project until you pay us what you owing us.
Okay, just like we can see, pensioners are still agitating. This actually what took place in the previous days, where we had a challenge of the pensioners agitating for their pension benefits, retirement benefits to be paid. Well, in case you're just watching us as this morning on ITV, and you can reach us live on the website on www.itvradioNigeria.com, and don't forget that you can also get us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ITVRadioNG, and of course on our Twitter handle at ITVRadioNG. I'm your anchor on the program, Philip Omo-Gupon, and I've been discussing with beautiful analysts, Comrade Collins Osarai Amadin, who actually was very, very instrumental in the former administration of Adams Oshomole. And also we have the presence of David Maduko, a legal practitioner, and of course Cosmos Irabo, also a legal practitioner. Looking at this, Cosmos, let's nip this in the bud. We always see reports of people protesting, pensioners protesting. We've not seen reports of former governors, former deputies coming to the road and protesting. Being standing before the House of Assembly, before the governor's gate, protesting for their retirement benefits to be paid. Now, how do we nip this in the bud and make this history? Cosmos.
You see, the truth is, the Nigerian system has so made it that what we have in Nigeria is, let me use, with due respect, let me use the Hausa language. We have Megida, Megad. The very rich, the very poor. The rich keeps having everything done for them. For instance, before the last governor, immediate past governor left, irrespective of the financial and economic situation of the state, he said they should pay him how much? 200,000 every month, vehicles and all, and it was quickly put into law. Let me quickly dive back a bit with due respect. The House of Assembly is really there to make law and checkmate the excesses of the governor. So if the governor is not normally doing what he's supposed to do, the law is there to checkmate it, to even remove him from office.
Okay.
Yes, he has immunity, but the moment the House of Assembly removes him from office by way of impeachment, he loses immunity. And if there's anything like prosecution, he can come in. But these things don't work. Why? We always have square holes, round pegs in square holes. That's why these things cannot come out. So the law as it were now, in as much as, like my colleague said, some areas of it are things that needs to be brushed up.
Tinkered with.
Yeah, but there are still provisions to handle some of these aspects. Let me also talk about what my fellow comrade said. Can't be comrade. I'm also a politician. You understand? What he said. You see, for things to work well, we must always call a spade a spade. You see, we were first Edolites before we became members of any party or the other party. So I think when we are in a place like this, we should face a dual situation first. We all know clearly that money that comes to the local government first gets to the state. And the state will remove salaries, irrespective of whether it's local government or from source, and then give them what is left. We know that clearly. And then they now manage the little they have. And we also know that if the local government chairman is not dancing according to the tune placed by the governor can remove it. No, from office. It has happened. So no one wants to remain in office, not to be disgraced. Maybe he might even want to leave, but not to be disgraced and humiliated. We always dance to the music has been played by the governor. So if the governor comes out to say, excuse me, we are not owing anybody, who removed the money? I want to be plain in my language. Who paid the people? They not say local government should pay local government. We all know the actual thing. We know. So that's why you see at times when I talk, before I start talking, I say I want to talk like the man on the street. I took time to study Edo situation before I came out to say I wanted to contest for the last governorship election. And I still stand tall to say that. The first time I contested, I came third. That means Edo-lites know that there's something in me that they can tap into. If you want to work for Edo, you must have a core value. That's what I keep saying. And what should be your core value? The citizenry. It is not coming to, do this or do that so that people say you are performing. And what are you actually doing? Pay the man that has worked. And the man be able to take care of his children. And the children become better people in the society. And when they are better people in the society, the area of security is guaranteed.
Okay, let's look at the role of the State House of Assembly in all of this, because the legislative house is supposed to check the excesses of the executive. Now, how do we bring this on board? Because it's not just enough for us to talk about it now, and we still see the same music being played. How do we make governors accountable? How do we make those who are public office holders accountable?
Thank you very much. Please, it's like I was almost forgetting some of the things. You see, The unfortunate thing is, like I always say, having square pegs in round holes. The genesis, the beginning. The last House of Assembly, when they were, contesting the elections, I made bold to say it, that some of them did not even campaign. The former governor, we all know, campaigned for all of them. And some of them won. They came to power. You expect such people to do anything?
You said we all know?
I know, most people know.
Okay, you can speak.
Most people know.
You can speak for yourself?
Yes, I know, so many people know.
Okay.
It was on air. And then, excuse me, the moment they come into power, you don't expect them to begin to bite the finger that fed them. So the laws are there, like I said, the laws are there. How many years did it take to pass into law that the government should be paid how much, former government should pay how much, vehicles given to him and all that, when people were dying in penury? It didn't take anything. You see, what I discovered is, Edo State House of Assembly, let me use that as a case study. They have digressed, moved away from what they're supposed to be doing. All they do now is spend the whole time, gather and begin to impeach this, impeach that, and impeach that. How many laws have they made? How many have you heard that the House of Assembly will call, you say, okay, state governor, account for so and so thing? Before Alamesia was sent to jail, prosecuted and sent to jail, the House of Assembly had to first of all impeach him. The moment he was impeached, he was arrested. The moment his immunity left him. So if a governor is doing the wrong thing, especially in the case of pensioners crying and all that, he almost lies on the House of Assembly to say, come, who is responsible for this? We want you to account for this. Why are these people not? Because they forget at the moment they leave there, they're also going to become pensioners. But people don't think of that. Now. I will say that the problem in Nigeria is the three major questions. Nigerians ask the how question. How do we embezzle? How do we do this? They ask the why question. Where do we do it? The why question, why should I do it? It's not in their dictionary. Once that comes in, things will not change in Nigeria. So this is what we keep talking about. The House of Assembly is there to checkmate the excesses of the executive, but they will not do it. That's why I discovered that the executive will always make sure, fight to as if they are the people contesting the election, like we saw in the last election, to make sure that those people are the people who are brought on board. What I'm saying is, my very good brother and friend here, Collins, knows what he's a politician. He knows what I'm saying. That's why I said it here one day. I said, when elections are won during the congresses, because the congresses that leads to the primaries. When you put your people there as those who will vote for the primaries, you've won the election already.
Okay, thank you, comrade. Thank you, Cosmos Sirabo.
Yeah, comrade.
Comrade, thank you, comrade Cosmos Sirabo. Just bringing that to light because definitely everyone knows you and knew the role you played in respect of the previous election in Edo State. And that is not to say I'm not according you that. Definitely, I know you're a comrade. All right, David Maduko, you made mention of the fact that the aspect of tinkering with the laws in order to get this properly done. But this could take some time. You agree with me?
Yes, definitely.
Why we are waiting for that time to come? Just now we are having this money being, utilized. And some persons are saying that government should be transparent enough to give a blueprint. Publish this. How you spend the London Paris Club loan refund is the right of the citizens, is the right of the average Nigerian, So how do we nip this in the bud? While waiting for the law to be tinkered with? How do we ensure that these monies are properly utilized?
Well, we have in place already what we call the FOI Act, Freedom of Information Act.
Okay.
And another question is how effective has it been? Some stories that flow in says that it's just one of another of our laws that is in the books. Demands have been made for information and it has not been given properly. We come back to the issue of holding our leaders responsible. There's something we must try and do quickly.
Okay.
There's something we must try and do quickly, sir. From all our civil society organizations.
Yes.
And we must try and push for the issue of independent candidacy, sir. It's very, very vital and fundamental. The reason is that we are faced severally in this country with the problem of restricted choices by the party. You are given, it's either the A or B. So most of the time we are faced with the choice of either the devil or the deep blue sea. So as a matter of urgency, I think we should all as Nigerians push for the issue of independent candidacy. For instance, this issue of corruption, we know about this present regime, the hue and cry about corruption that we see every day, all the incidents that happened and all the people going to court. But I tell you, sir, with all due respect to the government of the day, that they are not sincere. They are not sincere enough with the fight. And I will tell you why. The day we have a president who comes out and says, I've abolished security vote. The day a president has the courage, or even though you don't abolish it, you say, okay, I've made it something that is accountable. This is what accrues to me as security vote every month, and this is how I've used it. The day we have that president, then we will have begun to have a system free of corruption. The day we have a governor that will say, I will make my security vote accountable. I'm saying this thing now, it's annoying them as they are listening to me. You know why?
No.
Yes, the reason is obvious.
Yeah, okay, tell us.
The moment we start, we make everything bare, then I will know we have the sincerity of purpose to have good leadership. And until that day comes, everything we see happening is a charade. Everything we see is home video that's happening. When you see a true leader that's ready to lead and has zero tolerance for corruption, he will start first and foremost with himself. Present his itinerary, present his assets, and abolish so many of these ways which our leaders get ill-willed. Finally, the prerequisites of office. Our legislature, with all due respect, is very profligate. It's very profligate because we have the highest paid legislators in the world in Nigeria. I've come to this program before and I've given a breakdown of what they receive. And we found out that even a senator receives more than President Donald Trump. And that's the truth. So the moment we make all these things unattractive, let's make it unattractive. Put them on salary grade level. Make a senator of grade level 16 or 17 with just a little more entitlements, just a little more. And you will see people will not kill themselves for this thing. It is the money. Sorry, with due respect, I have on my left and my right politicians. Yes. May be annoying them. But I am saying for the stand, I'm talking for the Nigerian common man.
Yes.
You see, we are sick and fed up of what has been happening
of the status quo.
And it's about time really, people talk about restructuring and all that. It's all part of it. We had confab last time. There was a report. Where is it? It's in the trash can. Why? Because people don't want to block loopholes from where embezzlement, from where corruption comes from. And until we make up our mind that we really need to sincerely fight this thing, it's not what we see. You set up because the man belongs to another political party, you go and arrest him, or because you feel this judge has not given judgment for you. All the judges that they arrested, what has come out of it?
That is it.
What has come out of all the sting operation at night? You go, you found this money. What has come out of it? So we really need to start being serious with ourselves as Nigerians and tell we have to begin first with allowing people who we know. If I know that Papa Egosa that lives next door is a well-schooled man, he has a prerequisite, qualification to be governor of the state, I should have the courage and be proud enough to say, Papa Egosa, go and pick the form and be able to mobilize people around my area. Let us vote for Papa Egosa.
Yeah, but David Maluko, you seem to forget the money bag politicians.
That's what we need
You
to
seem
end.
to forget money politics because we just had that in the previous election.
Yes.
So even if you bring it about the private or single candidacy or what have you, how do we tackle the money politics?
It's face by face.
Will you tell a voter
It's
you must
gradual.
not take money?
It's not working
Because,
with
at the end, you
Yes.
see that even in the polling booths, you see them doing this. And the party in power could do this and go scot-free.
But you will agree with me that the orientation is changing. I mean, the issue of bag of rice and tin of oil given to this street during election, the orientation is changing. They may take
changing.
it.
Yeah, okay.
And they may take it
because they still take
and do what is in their conscience. The orientation is changing. Where have you ever heard that a serving minister? I mean, I stand up and give kudos to Mama Taraba. Where have you ever heard a serving minister speaking her mind, speaking truth to power?
Okay, but we also finish on that.
So now, what I'm trying to say now, Nigerians, we are evolving.
Because that aspect, I was thinking you want to continue with that, because we have reports that she rescinded on that.
Well, I've not seen that report. And of course, we know it depends on what is the root of what is the
what she disclaimed was the Aerofy issue.
yes, what is the source of that report? Because we know we have social media, we know we have the conventional media, and we don't know where that is coming from. But anyway, what I know she said is that she was able to speak truth to power, and she was able to say, I've stated my choice, this is what I'm going to do next year. What I'm trying to say by that is that
she has not disputed that.
is that
Okay,
our orientation
as a
is
way of
changing.
digression.
Yes, our orientation is changing. Nigerians are becoming bolder, and we are becoming able to speak the truth. And when we speak the truth, one day, by the grace of God, we will get to where we are going to.
Okay.
In this country.
Okay, thank you so much for that brilliant move. Collins Osara, as we round up, because we are after nipping this in the bud. How do we tackle this, nipping this in the bud, alongside what Barrister David just said?
The issue remains, first, let me quickly appreciate my barrister on the issue of independent candidature. I think it will help Nigeria in one way, because this issue of party being the one to tell you this must be this, it must be that. Just as my leader also have said, it start all the way from the delegation, the delegates, you know, because who you put at the Congress level must determine who actually later become who, you know. But just to say that we are growing as a country, and we must appeal to our leaders to have human conscience. And even many a time, he pains me when all politicians are referred to as being corrupt people, or to be the persons who go into government houses or go into government and packed money.
And induce voters,
you know,
monetarily.
In inducing voters, sometimes the system has almost find itself in a level whether you are in government, you are not in government, or that in power, you are not in power. For the fact that you are contesting, it almost has become the thing you must do.
It is becoming a norm.
To beg people with funds to vote for you, which really wouldn't help this country.
It's a sad commentary.
Yes.
It's a sad commentary. Don't rush away from it. Don't rush away from it, because you are a politician.
Sure.
I was almost seeing you rushing away from it. How do we tackle that aspect?
We will, because the truth is that there is no money to even share anymore. The way it is now, they've emptied all the treasury. You know, even the ones they are collecting now, they will tell you there is no money to share, but sometimes the very heads are sharing. Why the other subordinates will just sit down and look like dog, and they will say in Calabar, sit down and look like dog made for Calabar, and believing there is nothing. Why some are still making good use of the little that are left. But just to say that we will grow.
All right.
And I believe we will grow. And in growing, the citizen must take a high stake in this. We must take a high stake in this. We must ask questions. We must always ask questions. Because if you don't ask questions, you won't get an answer. And if you ask questions and you are not giving an answer, it will be made known that you asked at a particular time and answer was not given. Tomorrow, if the person wants to ask you for another vote, you could then say, I asked a question last year on a very salient topic. You did not answer me.
Okay.
Why then can I trust you again? Just to say that many politicians have also been making a lot of sacrifices. Unlike before. Even in labor law makes it so. Because one, if you are asking people to take responsibility, because my leader was indeed talking about someone being...
All right, we don't have time. 10 seconds, please.
10 seconds.
Yes.
You want to leave an office, sometimes a law is being put in place to encourage what you have done. Just assume like pensioners. It could be, but the only pain sometimes we'll have is that if we agree some person are packed a law and also wanted to take more, maybe the pain could come from there.
Okay.
Like me who have said the government, the labor law makes it, would have helped me that even in private sector, if you have worked in a place for 1 year
Thank
or
you.
even 2 years,
Thank you.
when you are leaving, there should be a kind of package or either severance or whatever name you give it to tell the person thank you for having worked with me or having served this thing.
Yes.
But people like us left office without a dime and we were even paying half salary and nobody has asked me ever since I left, what was I earning? How have I been surviving? And how do I survive? Same thing with a lot of my colleagues. But just to say that in wanting to get more productiveness from people, there must be a system, there must be a mechanism to encourage hard work. Because
Yes.
if it is not there, there will be problems.
Thank you. You just shared your pain over what took place when you left office without any severance benefit given. Just like the pensioners are also agitating. Yes, I think you are also crying. Well, big thanks to Comrade Cosmos Irabo, who is a legal practitioner and at the same time a politician. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
And of course, thank you, David Maruko, a legal practitioner. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, Collins
pension friends.
Osaga Amadi. All right. Thank you for coming, for being part of the pensioners to really represent and ensure that, and
For his own
all right.
case too.
Thank you so much.
This is ITV. Certainly the best.